Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 111 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone. Today's part two. Man, we killed it in part one. We got Neil Twa on with us.
Dustin, I think
He's good. We got to blame Dustin.
Yeah.
Did I go? But I didn't. Maybe my internet technology's crazy. But if you guys can still hear me, we are in part two of.
You said Chris was awesome. We caught that part. So
you said I was awesome.
You said Chris was awesome.
Deserve a raise.
He's the man. That's right.
Chris is awesome. He does. Yes, exactly. We have a lot of fun talking with you, Neil. It's a blast. Part two. We're going to really break down the numbers. So we're talking product research right now. We got through step one. And now let's just dive in. What is it? What are you doing when you're trying to get it to look at these numbers in this research section?
Absolutely, dude. So we're going to go what I call by the numbers today, right? And so as we spoke in the first, let's just recap. Let's do our little Wayne World back in time here thing. And we spoke about product research. What the blank am I going to sell? And today's topic, and even into the next topic, is going to kind of get to the next level. Going to come down off that macro and sort of get into some more micro level. We have a little bit of business speak. That's just kind of how this is going to work. If you don't understand the lingo or some of these, I'll try to define them as I can. Otherwise, Google is your friend, and encourage you to go take a look at those. But as we get through this, understanding the numbers and running the business by the numbers is probably one of the most critical things that I want you guys to get from today, because building a business and being serious about it, again, is thinking with the end in mind. And that really means knowing the numbers of your business. And so many sellers, they jump in and it's exciting and they're ready to go. And maybe it's their first business or whatever, and they're really JoJo'd up, but they're not really focused on how to make it profitable or really how to make this thing run for the long term. They're maybe thinking short-term money, side hustle, this kind of stuff. And I hope from today's session that you guys really understand that running a business by the numbers is probably the most important thing you will learn. And it will help define what you should sell at the micro level next of the products we're choosing. If you remember, we talked about, I don't know if you guys put me on your list or you even went through that exercise. Hopefully you did. At this point, and you are now working on a big most list of products, right? That first 500 ideas and concepts, 21 days or less. It's just a sheet, it's a pad, it's a notepad, it's a thing on your app. It doesn't matter. Just start writing all of them down. We talked about going into your last 90 days of shopping history. We talked about the white cars and what to look for, and we went over some mindset exercises to teach you how to move product ideas into your conscious mind and out of your subconscious mind. And so as we start to look at those products, what really is important next is building that more list, right? And as we go by the numbers, the more list will start to flesh out those numbers that make the most sense. And so what I wanted you to hear today was an understanding, again, that long-term you cannot run a business on gut feel. And so many people get started on gut feel and they make the wrong decisions. They break the piggy banks. They hit the 401ks. They run their last money on one single SKU and one single product set. And they fly by the seat of their pants. And at that point, I've seen so many people crash and burn 3, 4, 5 months into this, right? You also can make one very bad product mistake and wipe out your nest egg. And we don't want anybody to do that, right? So what we want you to understand is, multi 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure sellers understand and analyze profitability first. And it is the one thing we know will make a difference, a huge difference between success and total disaster. So we really want you guys to pay attention to this. You can sell profitably when you know your numbers. You can market successfully when you know your numbers. You can pay yourself and other people to help you in the business and create opportunities of automation. You can negotiate from a very strong position when you understand the numbers. And I know that people suffer a lot of times through product negotiation and stuff, mainly because they don't simply know the numbers well enough to know the position that they should be in when they're negotiating at the manufacturing level. Or even using sourcing agents. And so they find themselves backing into concepts and ideas and gut feelings. And that's really not how you should work this. You really want to work this at the numerical level, right? It gives you a strong negotiating position. And of course, we want to build a business with intrinsic value. That means at the end, this is actually worth something. All this time, energy, and effort and money you're putting, blood, sweat, and tears. People cry over these businesses, right? This is like serious stuff. This is your baby, when they come to sell these babies to us, there's always a big emotional appeal. Like they want the money and everybody thinks it's really great to, get this big cash payout. But at the end of the day, it's their baby and they want to really know that you've taken care of this. I spent years doing this. And so as you think about that with the end in mind, it's very important to answer that question. What are the numbers, right? So again, we talked about the urban mining hack and finding those. We talked about how to get great and recognize great product ideas, build that big list of never-ending product ideas, because while 500 is a starting point, you should be adding to your list every day, and it's going to be an iterative continuation, a continual process, right? You obviously want to pull profitable products from your more list, and we're going to talk about what that means in terms of more profit, more interesting, more trend, more opportunity, more units moved. And we talked about things that we're going to break down, I think, a little deeper here in the next few minutes as we go. So one of the things that is really important for people to understand is not having a scarcity mindset regarding product ideas. Most people come in and they think there's either one of two things. There's too many product ideas and I can't decide, which is going to be one of the things we solve today. And the other one is the scarcity mindset, which basically says there's not enough good products to go around. There's only a precious few good products, okay? And that actually isn't the truth, because if you consider 12 million to be a precious few, then we're not on the same page somehow, right? Because 12 million products is a lot. It's a lot of products. And if you move 1,000 units a month over 12 months, it's going to take you 83 years to move 1 million units. So you just got to think in terms of the scope and magnitude of those actual numbers and realize the breadth of opportunity that is setting right in front of you. So how to take that breadth of opportunity and crush it down. Let's look at that for a second. Let's explain this. So as you're looking for those products and you're building your list, one of the things I want you to do is to go into Amazon, and I want you to look for similar products. All right. I want you to remember this equation as we're thinking about this. Similarity and familiarity equal trust. Okay. Similarity and familiarity, okay, equal trust. Now, Amazon is your marketplace of trust. That's why we're talking about selling there, because brands are selling there. Amazon itself is a brand that people trust, and they're moving hundreds of millions of people a month through that platform. Similarity is the products that you consider selling, but at this point, we don't know the numbers. And so we're going to say, based on our big list, their product ideas that are going to be defined at the macro level by the numbers to determine whether or not the familiarity and profitability of that number are worth us actually selling it. So when we get down to some of these numbers, what we're going to talk about is things like gross margin, gross profit. Okay. If your brain is already exploding, just hang on. We're going to keep going, right? What do those numbers actually mean? What's return on investment, ROI? How is that important? And how do literally most of the sellers I talk to before they get trained correct?
I think we lost Neil a little bit. Did you lose him, Chris?
Or did you guys? Oh, sorry. Are we back?
It's all right. We're good. It just lost you for the last 5 seconds.
Okay, last 5 seconds. I covered like a million things in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. we'll step back. So what I was saying was, in the terms of the profitability, it's very important to understand the metrics that stack up in this, and become a way to analyze those products to the point where you know that if I were to create a product similar to the one that's in the market, and I have familiarity in a brand that I'm going to create to compete against them, and I'm going to use Amazon as my trust process for people who have never heard of my brand before, right? And then be able to run a profitable business around this product and reach a certain market point of market share in which I start to dominate the other 3 to 5 competitors in my marketplace, okay? And it's important to understand that when you start to realize that that's a very numerical driven decision-making model and not an emotional or gut feeling, then you will start to see yourself as a business person who's actually running a business, not a side hustle. And I get a lot of people who come to me, and you think this is not right when I say it this way, but they're running, $250,000, $500,000, even $1 million a year businesses. And when we take them through this exercise of just understanding the numbers in their business, you got to be surprised at how many of these sellers cannot ramble off in about 30 seconds exactly what their business is doing financially. It always blows my mind. It's one of the first things we do when we talk to them. What are your numbers? What's your profit margins on your products? How are you identifying your cost of goods versus your competitors? What's your market strategy for pricing? how is your campaigns running? And, they can tell me all the bad things, but they can't tell me the good things about how the business is actually running. It's very surprising to me that this isn't being business management in e-com is not really being taught. It's a very important thing. So as you understand those numbers, it's very important that you dig in to what do those numbers look like. So we have something called cost of goods. That's the physical product cost to have one of those things manufactured for you, okay? That number is a number given to you typically by the manufacturer who says, well, if you want 1 unit of this widget, it's going to cost you $5.18 or $6.18 or whatever, right? You have Amazon's fees that have to be calculated on top of that. Now, Amazon has something like 60 or 70 different fee structures in the way. It gets a little complicated, right? One of the things that we identified in our discussion previously was how to kind of avoid the 3 different areas we talked about in the last podcast that had to do with certain areas you don't want to dig into. If you hadn't caught that, and maybe you're just catching this one, I encourage you to go back and catch those as to why you shouldn't get them. When you go towards Amazon, you're looking at finding the product segment that we consider to be blue sky or evergreen, and those are usually Amazon fees around 15% average, right? You don't want them necessarily to be lower, because if they're lower, you're typically paying or selling in retail on a lower price point. If they're higher, then you may be running into hyper competitive or saturated niches, and you don't want to be in those either. What you want to do is find those products that kind of average out about 15% average cost of sales, plus or minus a little bit. When you do that, you actually know you can plug that number in to your spreadsheet or your calculations, right? You have to have a fulfillment cost. What does it cost to actually fulfill a unit of that, all right? Amazon has a seller calculator that will tell you these fees. So you want to make sure you understand that too. And then you obviously understand your net from Amazon, which of course is the retail price minus all the fees. And that's kind of what your net would be from Amazon for a unit of those sold. Now, one of the 2 other columns we talk about, gross profit margin and percentage, are important to understand how to actually correctly calculate the gross net and profit so that you actually really understand your return on investment. So where a lot of people make mistakes, they will say something silly like, oh, I got a product for $50 and I sold it for $100, so I had 200% ROI. And I'm like, no, that's not exactly how that works. You actually, got 100% ROI. Oh, I did? Oh, I didn't actually understand that. When you get into really understanding where those margins are, do you understand your unit gross percentage or your ROI? That should be, relatively strong. And what we consider relatively strong is 80 to 150%. Should be your unit gross ROI. Now, again, I'm throwing out a lot of numbers at you guys today. We're going to try to break some of this down in the next 10 or 15 minutes without making this go for 45. But at the end of the day, you really understand that gross profit ROI. That leads you into things like, how much should I spend on my ad budget, right? How should I actually take accountability for ad budget? When you understand that in terms of the cost of running the business down to a per unit level, that means I know at 1 unit of sell, all the cost and fees structured, then I actually know how to budget an ad correctly while still making it profitable. What I see is everybody does the inverse, and they will try to run an ad budget against a $9 profit margin and then scream when they're making $1 or 50 cents, and their A cost won't get below 20 cents or 20%. It's never going to. It probably never would, but you never properly calculated it. Now you're screaming about ad budgets. So you got yourself backwards. So you got to be thinking about the products first. What are the numbers that occur first? You got your storage fees. You have storage fees in Amazon. Storage fees can add up if you're not moving enough units for long-term storage fees. Those can add up correctly. You got to make sure you accommodate those numbers. You have returns and shrinkage. It's typically in our our net where we currently play ball. Excuse me, I'm trying to say this the right way. We see about 2% in returns and shrinkage. That should be. It could be up high as 4%, but typically you want to see it around 2%. Or so. That is the products that might be returned or shrinkage in your inventory levels based on manufacturing defects and other things. So with all those loaded, we should get to 3 types of columns that are the most important for you to look at in terms of your brain, your profitability, your spreadsheet you want to work out, or however you're tracking the products you're looking at currently. As again, we're trying to answer that question, what the blank do I sell? That is net profit at the dollar amount. That is your net profit percentage and your unit ROI percentage. Those are 3 columns that we like to track as red, yellow, or green. It's pretty simple, right? Red means what? Don't go, stay away. Yellow means Caution, if you can't get your retail price correctly, or you can't get your manufacturing cost of goods, cost budget, and other things under control, it could be in the red. If you can get those in control and have good control of your profitability, your brand, and of course, raising your prices against your competition, that yellow could go green, making that a great product. What you want to be careful is launching a product with yellow, expecting it to go green. You can certainly not launch a red product and move it into the yellow or green if the market simply won't support that, okay? And I see people making those mistakes. I've seen quite a few of those sellers come to us, again, doing $500,000 to $1 million a year, wondering why they can't pay themselves more than about $3,000 a month. It sounds really ridiculous, right? But then you put all their products into the spreadsheet, we work all the numbers, and all of a sudden they're seeing yellows and reds and maybe one green. And the one green is holding the business up. And if that one green SKU goes down, guess what happens, guys? Like, these guys are in 2 to 3 months, they're out of business, right? It's the same sad story over and over again. So the other things we pay attention to then give us estimated daily units sold. That's a projection of units, which has to do with, of course, profitability, revenue generation, how much inventory we're moving. And an important gem in that is, how do I overtake my competition in ranking? It's a good thing to know the estimated daily sales units of those products, so I know how to properly position my marketing to overcome or break down the barriers that might cause me to not enter that market with my product launch correctly, under the right understanding of what effort it will take to rank that product and beat my competition. And that leads us to the estimated annual units sold, which we break down quarter by quarter, what we call our 90-day cash flow plan, which is kind of breaking all these numbers into what is the total sales velocity, total number of units I would move in a 90-day period as it's relative to a 12-month annual run rate. Everybody keeping up with me so far?
Absolutely.
Throwing a lot of stuff out there.
No, this is fantastic. I'm sure people listening to this right now are rapidly taking notes. Like,
well, I hope so.
I am.
Yeah, I'm writing this stuff down. I mean, this is
all right. Good. I don't want to leave everybody behind, because that's a lot of acronyms. But we're down to what looks to be a 90-day cash flow plan in your brain. You know, you may want to write this down, get a forecast, write it in a spreadsheet, get a software. It really doesn't matter what mechanical thing you do at this point. It's more important that you understand the business that we're talking about, right? What it's going to lead us to is an understanding over 3 months, what's our velocity of units moved during launch or growth, or even when we reach market penetration or a percentage of market penetration. We have a good understanding based on our competition what our expected results should be in that 90-day period for a single SKU that we're launching of a product within a brand. Okay, that's going from our macro to our micro. It also very much helps us understand inventory units that will be moved, which is, again, very important to your cost structure of inventory and calculations for your long-term storage fees. And, of course, the amount of inventory you need to order or pre-order as part of your logistics. And then, of course, the management you need to do within FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, for your IPI rules, your inventory rules, whether or not you have to balance some between a third-party logistics company, say that right? And how many you can actually stick in Amazon that you're going to turn over in that time frame. If you understand those numbers and thresholds, then you very much understand what a single unit life cycle looks like, from the time that it goes from, is it profitable, to selling a unit, to delivering a unit, and of course returning that product and investment back to the business while paying ourselves something out of all of that at that bottom line. What should we get paid for every one of those units moved? I challenge you to get paid more than $12 in profit per unit. So how does that float back upstream, right? It floats back upstream in terms of me moving one of those units to a customer through Amazon's marketplace and ensuring that it was done profitably. Ta-da! Like, that's that's the whole, that's the whole Wizard of Oz thing here, right? So as you move those products into your more list, you will use tools like Helium 10, Jungle Scout, or even a 6-Leaf Phoenix tool to go out and data mine that into your database, your spreadsheet, your task list, your white paper, wherever you're going to put this thing. And you're going to ensure that you've got all those costs together. All right. This is taking 80% of the time to basically get down to the question, what's your number? Your number might be, I'm okay having $9 in profit. I've got to have a minimum in $12. I want to have $20 in profit. Well, As you work that back upstream, that's going to then tell you what your cost of goods should be for that product. As you're looking at your manufacturing, it's going to give you a good estimation of, I need 15% of that unit retail cost sold to equate to my advertising budget. I need to have 15% to Amazon. I need to have 2% to storage and fees. I need to have 2% to market trends and inflation. And by the time all those numbers work out, my 3 columns of profit are green. Okay. If one of them's yellow, but it's acceptable to me, and that's my number, that's okay to me. What I want you to base that on is a very clear understanding of those numbers. And one of them in particular, I forgot a second ago, but let's make sure I say it out loud, is your cost of goods. I don't want a cost of good for my product above 35%. We touched on that just a little bit in the last podcast, but let's make sure we have that plugged in there as well. So that's going to end up with, I think, like 35 different columns if you were to put it in a spreadsheet. Which is tracking columns and data columns, et cetera, like that. And there are some software that do that, but actually at this point, there's not a software that does everything. does everything that I just told you. Although I'm going to give you one as a gift today for free. Literally, I'm going to link it to you. It's going to have a little instruction at the top. It's a Google spreadsheet. Okay, so it can be shared. Go in and make a copy. Don't go in and edit the one that you're going to get. Go into File, make a copy, save it to your drive. It's yours. Use it for free, okay? At the very bottom of this sheet is going to be some cool graphics that we plugged in. And let's break those down real quick as to the proceeds from a sale of an average product. Okay, we talked about the cost of goods. We talked about Amazon fees. We talked about your profit, very important. Your ad budget, other ancillary fees. Well, we talked about the 3 of those. And your fulfillment costs. What does it take to get that unit sold? It's going to show you in a graph based on all the products you've currently put in the sheet. It's going to give you a gross margin breakdown. Please understand the difference between profitability and gross margin. People get very confused on that. When you see it and to hear this, it should make sense to you, okay? It is going to be what my gross margin is for every unit sold currently listed on my spreadsheet. You have a profitability breakdown. Where do all of those 6 or 7 different columns actually play out in a single unit sold? And then I'm going to have my ROI calculation. All right. This one's going to actually tell me in a graphical format with the letters how it all breaks down correctly so that I ensure I understand the return on investment of 1 unit sold that is returned to the business's profit. Y'all follow me with that so far? Because that's a very important thing. So we're going to go and we're going to take our products from our big list that we're building, our iterative continuation list that you're going to be working every day to add products to. And you're going to keep filtering them into this free spreadsheet that I'm going to give you. And as the numbers go red, you'll put them on the red column. If they go yellow, you put them in a yellow column. If they're green, you keep them on the green light spreadsheet. In that green light spreadsheet, as you are continuing to add products, there's one last very important thing that you're going to want to pay attention to. And it's called project launch cost. This is a big one, right? It's the question of how much money do I need to sell this product? Or how much money do I need to invest if I'm going to take your program and invest products, or if I'm just going to invest in the market and I want to move this out? How much does it cost to take it? And everybody wants to know an exact number. Well, guess what? You're going to get a number within 3% variation. We have run millions of units through sheets like this, millions of dollars sold. It'll be within 3%. If it says $17,618 to launch that product and have inventory for 90 days and make it profitable and return a predicted cash flow over 90 days and 12 months run rate, that's what it's going to take. Do you have to sell it if it's green light? Well, no. What you need to do, unless that is going to be something that you could do, maybe you could do that. No big deal. Maybe you can't. Maybe you're looking at 7,000. Maybe you're looking at 700. Go through the continual iteration of the product list, go through the research and find a product launch cost that does meet your goals and does answer the question, how much should I spend? And it will also answer the question, what the hell do I sell? Because when those products come out there and they're green, that's a product in your brand you can go to market with confidence selling. Now, it does take some additional, final word, some additional market research and understanding of the market of those products to determine whether or not you should sell them. Now, the numbers will work out, but the market research, competition, and saturation, we're going to talk about those in the next topics, because those are the defining questions between getting married to the product and being able to rank the product to ensure that you reach your platinum principle and the ability to sell this and have a legacy play in the end. So defining what your number is up to you. It may be that you can launch a $7,000 product that's going to return you $21,000 a year or $21,000 a month in profit. That is going to be something you can determine once you plug those numbers in. So again, this is a numerical driven business model. It really is. At the end of the day, you can take all your emotions aside once you determine what to do. If the products do not work out in the numbers, you shouldn't launch them, because in 3 to 6 months, you're going to wish you hadn't. And it's very important to know those numbers before you go to market.
I tell you what, I'm super excited to see this spreadsheet. And we are going to, we'll make sure it's in the show notes on the podcast. We'll put it in the description on YouTube channels, wherever you're listening to this. We'll have the link to this spreadsheet. But I can't tell you how important this is. I mean, Chris and I, we talk to sellers all the time. Either they're coming on to Saloza because they're either struggling with their advertising or they're looking for ways to find the right ACOS. And the problem is none of that. The problem is like you said, they've picked a product where either they connect to Saloza for the first time and they find out that they're unprofitable and they thought they were profitable. Like, well, when you look at all your costs together, you're unprofitable here. No idea of that launch budget. Like, what they picked a product that's going to take 10 grand to launch, and they weren't prepared for it, or they didn't have that. So everything that you just laid out is so important to the success going on. And I'd love to dig into a few more of these things really quick. Can you just a question on return on investment?
Yep.
And how important that is. I can give a little story. One of my first products ended up being a great mover. It sold a ton of units, but it was at a low price point, and so it had a low ROI. So I ended up having a lot of capital invested in a product that brought me money, but I kind of maybe had it in a product that was bringing me more money with that same capital investment. Right. So explain ROI and what that number, like your ideal number, is, and how important that should be for people's calculation.
Well, defining ROI is going to be a little different. It's by standard definition of the Webster definition. It is a return on investment. It just means what is the time frame and capital required to return an invested a percentage expected return. Whether I say it's 20% and I'm okay with that, or 40%. There is some number that I define as an ROI that is acceptable to me, right? So if I'm going to invest $1,000, then I would like that return on investment to be $4,000, right? Therefore, my ROI is $3,000. How long that takes for me to do that is going to be defined by the market. It's going to be defined by my niche, and in some ways, it's going to be defined by me, whether or not that's acceptable. If that's acceptable in my numbers, maybe it takes 4 months to do that. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'd rather have it happen in 3 days or a week or even a day. That's where I'm at now. So at this point, you have to define ROI by your number standard. Now, you can go in and look at, say, outdoor gear or kitchen supplies and stuff, and they're all going to have different ROIs. But you literally, it's going to get down to, I have to launch this product. All right, I want to see a predictable return in 90 days. I want to see the inventory that I've purchased turned over in 90 days or less. I want to see my profit margins per unit maintained. And I want to see a percentage of growth that is maintained over those 90 days. It shows me a quarter by quarter growth that will add up to an annual growth rate. We typically want to see organic annual growth rate around 40 to 60%. And that's what we see, because we're picking the products right here at the very beginning, knowing they have a good market upsell, a good opportunity. Whatever my current ROI is, and defined as my project launch cost, and the time frame in 90 days that's going to churn over, is going to be the cost it takes, the sales and the profit and the manufacturing. And it is what it is the basic, simple way to say that. You have to determine if it's good for you. If it's not, go find another product. And that's, your ROI is going to be dependent on the number of products you put into your more list and are willing to work through this process. But I will tell you, the difference between where we are right now and maybe where you're at listening to this podcast today is the difference in the time and energy and effort you're willing to put into product research, 80% up front, before you ever take one of those products to market. You want to know how the other people get successful? Is they've gotten very good at being patient in the product research and market research to find that right product profitability and then get it in the market. It really is the biggest difference. I see so many people just shotgun blasting products. I see a lot of make this much money in 30 days crap. That is that's a lottery mindset mentality, right? We got to be very careful. If you want to build a serious business that runs 3 to 5 years out with predictable gains, growth, and an ability to sell it for something, then 6 to 12 months is not a long time to get these businesses ramped up and running. And that's the kind of expectations I set with my people, is in 6 to 12 months, that if you can reach a 6 or a 7-figure run rate in your business in that time frame, then you are set up for success that will lead you for years to come. And the thing about these products, Dustin, is that the type of products and the ROI we're looking for, as you'll see it in this spreadsheet, are not the ones where everybody goes into the software and it's like, this one makes $48,000 a month. Well, that's the one I want to sell. Mm-hmm. They are going into a place where they shouldn't be. If you could get a product, right, where I have invested, say, $5,000, they can turn around and make me a couple grand every month for the next 2 or 3 years, that is a great ROI for that product. Now I got to be thinking about how many more of those can I find and pencil in? Can I find 5, 10, 20, 50 of those? Now I have a business. Now I have a brand. And now you have something that actually worked with.
Go ahead, Chris. I know you were getting ready to say something, but this is fantastic. I mean, I know he's listening right now is frozen. We'll get Chris. Oh, you're back. Okay, ask your question, Chris.
Yeah, does there ever come a time when you're building a brand and you just have to be in that particular niche because you just have to be there? Like supplement brands, they all sell similar supplements. So does a brand ever have to be in the same niche because they just want to be there for brand awareness? Does there ever come a time where you just throw the numbers out and you just launch a product because you want to be in the same category as all your competitors?
No, this is a passion question, if I'm hearing it correctly. Because people come in and say, well, I'm very passionate about this niche and I want to sell in this product niche. Well, that's great. Find products in there that are profitable. Find products in there that meet the criteria. If you don't find anything in there, then go find something else to sell, because I will sell fuzzy bunny slippers to grandma because she's passionate about the pink ones with the fuzzy things that's got the little logo on the side. Right? Because she's happy. It's the non-slip. She doesn't feel like she's going to fall. She absolutely loves them. And she wants to tell everybody at her nursing home or wherever she lives that this is something you should buy. That's passion, right? And I'm passionate about my customers being passionate. So the simple answer to your question is no. I will go where the dollars are. I will go where the business is, right? Now, am I going to pull back in certain areas like selling XXX, mommy, daddy stuff? No, all right. Just because I'm not going to sell that stuff, right? But you might want to, and that's cool, whatever. But there's niches I won't go into for that reason. But there's predominantly I'm going to follow the numbers. And if it works out, that I'm expanding a brand in a particular area of, say, outdoor or kitchen or home or one of these other places, there are thousands upon thousands of product opportunities in there, and they will go green light. And you just need to find them and keep working. There's plenty of holes in that.
Cool. Thanks.
I made this exact mistake. I feel like this is the biggest mistake people make, is you start building a brand, especially if you have success with your first product. Like if it comes out of the gates rocking, and whether it was luck or whatever, you pick the right product, and then you start going all the rest of the popular products in that niche, you start adding to your brand. That just sucks.
You go deep. Yep. Keep digging that well hole, right? If you find water, don't pick up your drill and go try to find water 20 feet off to the right. And so many people make that mistake. Just keep drilling, right? If you found water at 100 feet, well, guess what? There may be water at 200 feet. So just keep going. And when you see that opportunity, what you're not recognizing maybe at this point is all of that upfront work you just did to get into, say, the outdoor gear niche that is selling, bicycle seats. There's thousands of different variation types and bundles of bicycle seats where you can just keep digging deep. And once you know the market, you understand the customers, you've done the keyword research, you've taken the time and effort to get into it, it just gets to be faster and faster for the products that you can dig into, and your launches get easier and more predictable, and you just keep expanding that brand. People think it's kind of boring. Why would I have 59 bike seat SKUs? Well, because it does 7 figures a year. That's why. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, passion in business at this type and level is probably more important than passion in the products you're selling.
Do you have any negotiation tips here? Like, this is more of a personal question, actually, but there's a product I want to go after. It's not meeting the 80 to 150% ROI, but it's pretty damn close. What kind of negotiation tactics or tricks do you have where I can get closer to that, 80, 150 ROI area?
If it's currently lower in terms of your negotiations, but you have a good understanding what your cost of goods needs to be, and you're taking that into the negotiation with your manufacturers to determine if they can meet that and come into alignment with it, then the next thing you would actually be looking at is where else in the supply chain or business can I make money off of this or make it more profitable, right? So then you would look and say, well, brand affiliation, maybe some influencers that expand it or raise it. My price increases on the front end to gain more competition. And of course, that gives me more room in my costs and my campaigns to broaden the reach of that product and become somebody who literally could sell it for $10 or $15 more a unit than all the competition currently in the marketplace. I may inch that up, but eventually you're going to look back and find I'm the only one sitting here with a product still selling 500 units a month for $15 more than the rest of my competition. So you can look at a time where predictability of brand growth and affinity will overcome current price points or negotiation objections. And of course, as you order more units from that manufacturer, terms can be negotiated and contractual terms of units purchased can be negotiated, or you find another manufacturer who can produce it or create it at a lower price point for you, right? You now have power and control in the negotiation when you do that. So again, make sure it's profitable, find a little negotiation place on front. If you know you can take it to market with better retail pricing and profitability later on the front end, then go to market with it. Outbrand it, move it up, then come back to manufacturing with a power negotiation position, right? You want the next 10,000 unit order? Great. I need 90-day terms, and I need you to drop the price to 518 from 618.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's good.
We've covered so much information here. I'm sure if everyone's like Chris and myself taking notes here, they wrote down a lot of terms, and yep. I think the main thing that you've kind of opened my eyes to even more metrics too, and this product research time, is how important it is. You're passionate about spending your time here to make sure that you're validating the product before you launch it. And I can assure you, I didn't do it enough on a lot of my products, and I know a lot of people that they gloss it. And I like the way you cage as being passionate about the product, which kind of makes you just sort of not pay attention to the fact that it might not work if you really broke it down.
Then you go down the roads of things like, well, I might need a patent or something on this, right? Then you start to get over way too far in the innovation brain and not enough in the business opportunity brain. So you got to balance the two out somewhere in the middle. But I will also give you a caveat that when the numbers work and the product seems to fit really well, but you don't currently see certain trends in the market, or you see opportunities to trend, we're going to talk about that in the next session because it kind of leads your conversation sort of segues into the component of don't marry your product, which is find someone else's girlfriend instead. That's going to be our next topic. So what that leads into is something I coined years ago called trend jacking, which I've taught a number of people how to do. And I'll give you some examples, even a product example when you guys show up to the next podcast of one we did, because everybody wants to know what kind of products do you sell? Well, I'm going to give you one on the next podcast that'll tell you how it went down, what the brand did, how we aligned it with the numbers, and then how we met the market and answered that question, what the hell do I sell? And it should bring together the next, for the third topic, these two components that we just discussed today and kind of round up the whole understanding of how to answer that question.
One thing that this is such a good important topic is one thing you can get stuck on like a product and you do like fall in love with it, right?
You do.
You like, I got to do this. But when you start looking at it just as a widget, and this is something I just personally do, when I do product research, I'll make a copy and then I'll just change the names and like just delete the names. And so all I look at is the numbers and not the names of the product. So I don't know what product is what until at the very end that has the most profitability and most ROI, so that it doesn't skew my decision on what I launch.
Yeah.
Because if you see the name, you're immediately emotionally attached to it.
Right.
Or the product name, you're attached to it, and now you start to justify all the numbers.
You start to make compromises, and we know how that works. Little compromises, like maybe she'll stop picking her teeth later on, or maybe he'll stop farting before bed, or whatever, right? And pretty soon, 3, 5 years, 7 years, they call it the 7-year itch for a reason, right? In Amazon, we should call it the 5-month itch.
Yeah,
everybody gets it around 5 or 6 months, and they suddenly realize, I don't want to be married to this product anymore. Like, this product stinks. They fart. They don't clean their shoes. They don't pick up the dishes. They leave the dishwasher basically unloaded. Like, I don't want to be married to this product anymore. We're going to cover that, right? Because we can steal other people's girlfriends ethically, morally, and that's probably most important to understanding how those topics come together.
I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. And so what everyone needs to do now is a spreadsheet.
Yep.
Start inputting your data. Start getting familiar with the spreadsheet and the numbers you need to put in there. See how many green lights we've got on there. I'm definitely going to be doing this.
For sure.
Look at this. I'm going to input all my current products.
I was going to say, go put your go tell us what happens. Hopefully this is a good exercise. I want this to be a good exercise.
Come on, green lights.
What's different now is, Chris 5 years ago would be still married to his product, but Chris now would be like, this is gone. I'm out. I'm done with this one. Because you've been through that. We've been through that. Like, I'm going to push advertising, and it still doesn't work. Like, you can't shine it up and make it sell more than it does. Like,
you really can't. Again, it comes back to, if you're making $1 in profit and you're selling 1,000 units a month, you're not going to get rich selling 2,000 units at $1 profit. Like, it's the same thing I see with people's brains all the time. I just need to move more units. Well, how much profit are you making? Well, $1.50. But if I get my cost down and I move another 1,000 units next month, all my dreams are going to come true. It's like, no, sorry, that's not how it's going to happen.
It's true, and that inventory cost you've got loaded up in those products that are bringing you $1.50 per sale could be used for something that was bringing you 12.
Once you see that line, there will be a line in your sheet that you will start to cut off. Even those that are potentially profitable or green light, once you restack those with your current products, you can make a business in 3 months invert profit. I had a gentleman come in, John, actually took him about 5.5 months. When he came in, he was barely making it. He was moving $250,000 a year in sales, but he had about a 7% profit margin. Can you believe that? Like, at the very bottom. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you're making Amazon rich, man. No wonder nothing's working for you. So we inverted his business. We showed him how to build the sheet and go through the product analysis component. He basically shaved off over half of the SKUs that he was currently selling. And then what occurred is he started to raise the prices as the account turned around, the account health turned around, the profitability turned around. And in 6 months, he had gone from $250,000 to $1 million in revenues and increased 200% profitability in his business. So he just inverted that current business model and started to approach it very differently. So if you're doing $250,000 a year on Amazon and you are wondering, why is it not profitable? Why can't I move? This is going to be a great exercise for you to get to the next step, to basically turn the profitability around. But you're going to have to be very understanding that you can't marry your products, right? You're going to have to get that emotion aside and get down to the numbers.
This is important.
Love it. Love it. Can't wait. So let's everyone get the spreadsheet, input the numbers, and we'll be back at this tomorrow. We're doing this tomorrow.
Right,
we're doing part 3.
Partner.
Can't wait to dig into it. So everyone's got a little homework now between the next episode, but we'll have that link everywhere so everyone can get that the spreadsheet. Neil, you'll send that over to us.
Yes, I will. I'll get you a link for that. Absolutely.
I feel like we just started.
We're just getting started, guys.
I love this. I'm excited. I'm excited to go through this again. It's a fresh perspective on current products that I'm running and ways to evaluate new ones. So this is a fun process to do.
Good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully those listening enjoy it too. Because remember, don't marry your products. We're going to steal somebody else's girlfriend.
Oh yeah. And this is next. Yeah, this is very valuable for long-term sellers. This is
it is. Trust me, it is.
This is not just for new people looking to sell new products.
No. If you want to sell your business at some point, if you're already running and can't figure out why you can't get to the next level, next scalability, next tier, because I hear that a lot, right? How do I get to the next tier? It isn't always just about launching products, right? It is about making sure you launch the right products.
Yes. Take me to the next tier.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, Neil.
Let's do it. Next tier coming right up.
All right. Well, we'll do that tomorrow on the next episode. I can't wait. Everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back at this again tomorrow. See you.